Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where today we're finding out if I've managed to avoid disaster for the paintwork on my AMG GT Black Series. When I bought this car, it was graphite grey Magno. I then spent far too much money respraying it to my favourite colour for a Mercedes, Solarbeam. But there's a problem. This is a multi-layer pearlescent metallic paint, which is almost impossible to match. You don't want to have to do any new paintwork on this. And I've driven it around 25,000 miles, including in Dubai and all around the United States, which means we've got some stone chips, we've got some other areas of damage, and we need to see if this can be saved. But before we take that over to Topaz Detailing and later on go to visit my brand new Ferrari 296 GTS, which is at Topaz Hatfield getting paint protection film installed, we've got Topaz Mobile here, and this is a game changer. Having taken a fair few of my cars over to Petrol Hedonism Live, they're all a little bit dirty, looking a bit like this, and like this, and like that, and we need to do something about this. In steps Topaz Mobile, something that I've been waiting for, given all of the Shmeemobiles have Topaz paint protection film. Whether it's for routine maintenance or a more enhanced clean, their state-of-the-art fleet of vans bring heated filtered water completely self-sufficient to come and clean the cars wherever it may be. And today we're going to be going through quite a few of them. Currently servicing the Midlands, southeast of England and London regions with plans for further expansion, the beauty of the service is that they can come to you, bringing the vans with all of the equipment with the full Topaz Car Care products. You don't need to be an existing Topaz customer, you don't need to own a supercar. Your pride and joy can be cleaned up at your convenience, as all of mine are going to be today. One done and time for the next. Next up, BMW 1M. For the moment, this is just going to get it tidy up. Obviously lots of water drops and spots from driving it in the rain and the dirt that's flicked up, but it will need a proper visit to Topaz at some point to completely work on things like this. The exhaust tailpipes, those have obviously seen better days, and it'll be fun to try and completely restore them and see what we can do with that and some of the areas of the paintwork. It is snow foam time, and I know this might seem like an ad. It's not an ad. I've just been waiting for Topaz Mobile for such a long time. Anyway, while this is being done, I'm going to pop all the information down below. We're going to go pull out the GT Black Series, head over to Topaz HQ. It just got really windy to go and crack on with that. And cars always look cool when they're covered in snow foam, don't they? Always a bit unusual. Well, whether it's a supercar or a 1 Series or a Renault Clio, it can be washed up by Topaz Mobile. Simultaneously, the Mustang is going to head out as well, and this needs a big wash. When we drove out from Petrol Hedonism, the weather was awful, and I'm expecting the floor to need a bit of a wash as well. And that is why, thankfully, we have a floor cleaner. Yeah, we need to tidy that up, and that will happen while we're moving cars around. While Brad is kindly working on the floor, it's GT Black Series time, and this is where we need to get it over to Topaz to inspect all of this. When we finished the US tour, I showed some of the bits of damage, some of the marks. Then it went to Goodwood, it went to the final stages of Gumball 3000, and all the way across to Romania, Trans-Făgărașan Highway, and onwards back to the UK. It's done around 25,000 miles, 40,000 kilometers. It's seen better days, but let's start it and get over to Topaz. Well, that stands out a mile away. That GTR in full chrome. Oh, we are now in London, heading to Topaz, where of course this car has been before, but since then it has done many, many miles on the roads, 25,000 miles. But when it was brand new, after I had driven it around 600, 700 miles and about a week of ownership, I took it to Chartwell, did the full respray into this stunning Solarbeam. It's one of my favorite colors for a car, but it's a color that is notoriously difficult to ever respray, which is why you want PPF, to protect it. If you get stone chips, you can replace the film rather than having to blend in a part, which will look different unless you do a significant chunk of it. So we're heading back there, we'll inspect it properly, figure out if PPF has saved the day, which fingers crossed it should have done, and basically get those parts replaced and make it look completely brand new again. Well, here we are in a very familiar location, ready to bring the Black Series inside. Currently sat next to a Solarbeam GTR Pro, 812 comp aperta back there, some very nice company, but this is going into the famous Topaz wash bay to get started. First, a clean up, tidy, prep, wash if you will, and then we're going to start looking at it in more detail. After some prep, we move to the snow foaming again. There's something about that over a bright coloured supercar that looks amazing, genuinely amazing. This obviously helps remove contaminants or anything that's in the panel gaps before starting work on the next round of PPF. Of course, this needs every part of the car to be done, so wheels, brakes, using all the right tools, brushes, making sure everything's clean. All of the details, even the right brushes to do the exhaust tailpipes. A full wash also for the engine bay, which I think hasn't been washed since the car was new. This is going to be much, much tidier. Obviously, you've got the 4-litre bi-turbo V8, lovely carbon shields around the front, the Black Series badge, and the radiators tucked in here, which were repositioned akin to the GT3 car for the Black Series. The brushes to go through every single nook and cranny, all of the openings, obviously every little bit of this, the badges, the lights, the vents, the ducts, you name it, including in the engine bay as well. There are two, what I'm going to call bits of damage. One is a bit of damage at the front, we're going to get to that. The other is not self-inflicted, I want to say. Anyway, down here with the exhaust tailpipe, inside this particular one, some of the ceramic black paint in there has effectively flaked away. Now, obviously you could buy a new tip. You could probably just get a black permanent marker and fill that in. That's got nothing to do with Topaz, that's just from running lots of miles in very hot temperatures. The one at the front, however, not so good. And that's down here. This crack in the carbon splitter. I'm not sure how easily you can see that, like a centimetre long maybe, where it's lost part of the front edge. That actually happened when driving in Abu Dhabi, which is surreal to say alone. When I'd been at the Formula 1 Grand Prix, driving back late at night, there was a tyre in the middle of the road. A tyre that had clearly come off a car, and I didn't see it until too late, couldn't get around it, drove over it. That's all it did. The interesting thing from speaking with my friend Lucas over at Opus is that effectively it needs a new carbon part here, which is only like 700 or 800 euros for a carbon front piece. I say only because if we were talking a Ferrari or a Lambo, that would be thousands. 800 euros for this, not too bad. The problem is to install it needs all of this off and some work with some glue. So probably a day of labor or a good chunk of the day to be able to install the new part. I haven't got one yet. I will get one, and it will need PPFing afterwards. It's just a bit of a war wound that's quite fun because it says that this car went to the Middle East, which is epic if you ask me. It's time to swap things round and go and start the inspection. I don't think this has had such a good clean since it was brand new. Looking amazing. It's always quite fun when a Shmemobile arrives inside at Topaz Detailing. It means exciting times ahead. Of course, there are big plans in the future with this. There are some funny things I've just noticed myself that I'm going to show you in some detail as well. But first, we'll give the guys some time to have a full run over of the car. It's time to look at this. We're back with Nabil.
And it's been only 2 days, I think.
Literally. Yeah. We don't catch up for ages. It's been twice in 2 days.
That's amazing.
GT
but what
Black
I'm
Series.
amazed about is that you brought this back after 25,000 miles. How many
25,000 miles. 2 years ago, it was here in this exact place. We're at Topaz London, HQ.
Yep.
That's where it was PPF'd after I'd done the paint job. Now, of course, if it didn't have PPF, it would be absolutely battered.
It'd cost you about 30 grand to repaint it
Yeah,
again.
we'd be doing the full respray again. But we need to take a little look around it because I think it's interesting as well, if I get this right, from your side also, to see, you know, the car's been driven in hot climates, cold climates, it's been driven very fast, track days.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the nicest thing because we get to see, I mean, we have clients who bring cars in, they'll use it for 1,000, 2,000 miles, put them in the garage and never see them again. Or we have clients like you who literally use the car properly.
Drive the entire
love
world.
it. I drive the entire way, not the entire world. That's the only thing they don't do, but you do. And that's exactly what I like to see. So when I heard that you're going to be bringing this in, I was like literally, I was over the moon because I want to see how it has held up. Very important for me.
this is where the slightly painful bit, of course, as the owner of the car, when you're looking at it closely.
Yeah.
There are things like these. I've shown these before. Small chips.
Yeah.
Now, if it didn't have PPF, which is kind of like a slightly bouncy layer almost,
It's a bit of a cushion, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
it would be like this. The front of this car would be splattered in road rash.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you nail on the head, really. Road rash is the bit that really the film prevents happening. And chips like this, which are really, really big. I mean, this must have been a monster chip, right?
Yeah.
But if it didn't have film, you can see what it did to the film. If it didn't have the film there, that would have been straight through the paintwork down to the primer, you know? Whereas with this, we can remedy it without having to go through a full respray, essentially, right? So it improves it from that perspective.
When the film comes off, because I know about this one up here. This is like where a stone bounced along the carbon part.
Yeah.
And obviously it looks horrible right now.
Sheesh.
But when this comes off, even if that had lightly pierced the lacquer below,
Yes.
it's a local sanding.
Yes, we can remedy it. So what we do is we'd sand it, we take off a few microns off of the top of the clear coat, then paint correct it, and then put the film back on. And you wouldn't tell that it had any defect or any chip there.
And it's perfectly new. And I haven't really stressed this. I can see
there.
your eye. You're like small bit. So the thing is, this paint color, multi-layer, pearlescent, metallic, yellow.
Look, this multicolored paint plus, I mean, the fact that it is multicolored, if you had an issue with any of these panels, to get it fixed, you have to repaint majority of the car.
Yeah.
In most cases, you'd have to repaint the whole car because you'll never be able to match it 100%. It's like that with also matte paint. A lot of people don't realize that matte paint is very hard to also match.
Interesting.
But it's I mean, you've gone really for the for the creme de la creme when it comes to difficulties in paint. So
I know if you paint the bumper off the car, you would then have the Harlequin style, completely different color.
yeah.
Plan ahead then, because obviously front end needs doing, this
Yes.
needs doing.
Yeah.
You know, that canard there, the flick as Mercedes call them, needs replacing. I think it's going to be front end PPF, some bits here and there.
I think so. Just
updates.
having a look around. I think the front PPF needs to be done. The roof, I can see here that you've got loads of chips on the roof as well. I mean, your windscreens must be.
You know about it.
Yeah.
This is windscreen number 4.
I could tell because if you see all the chips here, I mean, this is not going to affect the carbon because thank God you had PPF on it. But I mean, the windscreen is unfortunate. But it's one of those things. Another thing that we want to do is go around the whole car, and we're constantly updating the patterns. So there are elements of the car that we have updated over the years, and that's the nice thing about getting such a high volume of cars. We're
Around
able
the world as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we can see what's going on with our patterns, see what's going on with our material, how the fitment is, and then afterwards we can adjust it as we go along. So right now I can see what patterns we put on your car a couple of years ago, and then if I show you the patterns that we've now, after seeing so many of these cars, you'll be able to see the slight variances here and there. You know, it's always improving. We're always improving them.
I'm really impressed how things like this have held up.
Yeah.
You expect side sills to take a bit of a battering.
Yeah.
They all look really, really good.
Yeah.
Doors, side sills, these parts, the blades. None of that needs changing at all. Even the mirrors. Couple of random things here and there.
I mean, look at that. I mean, how random is that? This is a prime example, Tim, of when people say to me, I'm only going to do full front sills. Look, how would you think you got a chip there?
If you've just done the front and sills of the car, that wouldn't have been protected.
That wouldn't be protected.
I don't even want to know how you begin to think about painting that panel.
Yeah, it's
Like,
impossible.
and
You
it's
just wouldn't do it.
Right on the edge here. It's so completely random.
So random. And then another one I noticed is here. You've got a little chip there as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, that makes more sense because it's a lead. It's a lead edge.
Yep.
But that's an easy part actually to change because it's the end plate of the wing.
That's right. But most people don't think that. They actually think, oh, it's just the front end that gets damaged. But you can see that just random parts of the car will get chips on them.
Often wings actually, because of the stones with the aero of these cars that get flicked up over the top.
I mean, yeah, if you see it in a tunnel, a wind tunnel, you see where all the smoke goes. That's exactly where the chips would be.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those things.
The cool thing right now is over at the Shmuseum, your new mobile guys are preparing and cleaning everything.
We're like Topaz everything with you now.
Topaz everything.
It's so funny.
Well, the mobile guys at the Shmuseum, with the Topaz Car Care products.
Yes.
Well, this is here for some restoration.
Yes,
or...
detailing, PPF.
And simultaneously at Hatfield,
Yes, I have.
the 296 is getting the new car prep.
Exactly. It's
We've got
literally
Topaz the world right now.
everything is getting Topaz right now. Yeah, but no, it's fantastic. It's great to see that, because for me, it's also nice to see how all our products keep up. I mean, it's for me, it's all research and development, because now I can see how the material is doing. I can see how the products are working. You know, it's just fantastic for me. I love it. I love
It's
seeing
everything
it.
in one. And obviously as the, I want to say Topaz empire expands to numerous locations here in the UK and Middle East and Asia as well, and mobile and the car care products.
Yeah.
I love that you still have the eye for this. I'm watching you go around and your like inspection mind is still there. It's like, I can see that.
I can see that. You know what? We had this conversation offline. I try to switch it off, because then I'll be too engrossed into these details. But actually, I like sometimes coming down and actually have a look at it, because it puts me close to the action. And I do miss it. I do miss the action. I want to start putting some film on. That's what I want to do.
Well, I think the plan is going to be to peel back a couple of these things so we can see how this looks underneath.
Yeah.
Because something like that, I mean, if that didn't have film on it, that would be nasty.
Especially with carbon. I mean, if the chip goes through the clear coat and hits the carbon, and the carbon weave gets changed in any way, shape, or form, or affected, then that's a new carbon piece. I mean, on the bonnet.
The whole bonnet.
You know.
And I think that's...
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard the number before, and it was very big.
Yeah.
It's tens and tens of thousands.
Yeah, not as big as the paint job, though.
Either way, it's not good.
This paint job is definitely something you want to protect. So I'm happy to see that the film has done its job so far.
It has. Thank you. This is the start of hopefully the moment of truth, where you can see the chip that was on there in the PPF, which obviously with the help of the heat from the hairdryer will come off more easily. And it leaves some glue residue, don't forget, so a little bit of cleaning that comes afterwards. We're removing that whole piece of film, ready for a new bit to go on afterwards. This is amazing. This is actually amazing. Tiny bit of glue residue left, but basically all gone. When we've got the new film on there, you won't even ever see anything. Perfect. This is good. We're now on the bumper, and obviously this is a big bit here. That might well leave a mark underneath, but we're going to find out in a second what it looks like and how much of it comes off, and hopefully it's quite a significant chunk, and we're going to be left with something that's not too untidy beneath. The tiniest of marks, and obviously we've still got the glue residue on here, and it's what happens when that's cleaned away. So there's the tiniest of marks on the bottom one. The top one's gone. The top one, there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. Look at that. That's amazing. The PPF took all of that, and for even the bottom one, that tiny, tiny, tiny little speck, a small touch in, and new PPF, and you won't even know that's there. I mean, we're super zoomed in here. If I step back, you can't see that. You can't see that at all. That's epic. It's easy to forget, but the headlights have PPF on them as well, and we're about to have a really cool experiment with this, so you can see quite how much that's protected. All of the parts that have the tape are the intended parts to be replaced. But I can see even from here as that comes off, the chipping in the film, but wait until you see what we're about to demonstrate with this and the benefits of it. Full headlight removed. Now, you can see even here all the chipping in it. Massive amounts. I don't even know how best to show this. I just hope the camera can see what the eyes can see, but there are so many chips around here, for example. Absolutely obliterated with them in the film. Moving now to this bonnet part, and I'm super intrigued to see what happens here. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. This is awesome. There's just a tiny, tiny bit of glue residue that's left there. But whatever that was that must have bounced along the nose of the car, basically all gone. And I think once this has had a wipe, those are going to have completely gone. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Totally gone. Nothing there. Absolutely nothing there. This is great. Everybody needs this. Everybody. Even parts like the door mirror arm, where you can see on the front-facing edge, there's a little chip just there. That would have been quite obvious against the gloss black, whereas in reality, again, gone. Wipe away the glue residue, and it's that simple. That part will be completely
back to how you want it. I'm obsessed with this right now. It's almost more fun taking it off. It's like one after another after another. Away it goes. And hopefully again, not too bad underneath. Fascinating to see this. Really, really cool. Bit of heat, break the film, and then hopefully not too much of a mark left underneath here. Little wipe, gone. Perfect paint. Perfect paint. We are now going to head onwards to our next stop in one of our team vehicles, the Abarth 500e, the little electric Abarth in its bright poison blue. The weather is definitely not on side, but let's make some progress and squeeze into this. The weather is atrocious. Absolutely awful. It's like this all the time at the moment. Not great, but hey, at least we're in a car that hasn't just been washed, or this would be a total waste of time. We are coming back past HRO and Ferrari Hatfield, where I picked up the 296 GTS. As always, some nice cars around, but we will head straight to Topaz.
We're back over then at the new Topaz Hatfield studio with my 296 GTS. This is only the second time that I've been with it since it was mine, and one of those was obviously the day collecting it. Now, with paint protection film, you can never tell what's been done already or not. Certainly when it's been done to the Topaz standard. We're going to see a couple of panels being put on. It's quite late in the day, but just a little bit of progress with this. Obviously the idea being that all of the body panels, all of the exposed carbon, things like the headlights, even the running light tucked in here, just like with the GT Black Series, will all have paint protection film installed to keep the lovely Rossodino paint looking really nice going into the future. All part of the process with a new car to get it ready to go and enjoy. Because trust me, when you know it's going to stay looking this good forever, the detailed paintwork, everything with it, it gives you that reassurance throughout the ownership that whatever you're doing with it, it will still look lovely. And the GT Black Series looking so beautiful still is part of why we do this. So I'm not sure where this is going to go, what's going to be done. It's actually plugged into the hybrid charger back there, which is very much appreciated, but we shall see parts of the process getting underway. First up right now, the front wing. And of course, before you do this, we've seen the car being washed, it's been prepared, but it now has the individual panel prep. So that means basically having this completely ready for the film, which has obviously been templated, plotted, and doesn't require a knife going anywhere near the car to be cut out. But this is quite an interesting shape because you have curvature in this direction, an unusual shape itself. You've got the scooter rear shield to go around as well, but going over it, just getting all of this ready. Panel is now basically prepped. It'll be time to back roll the material and then to start figuring out the position. So this is using both slip solution and stick solution to help maneuver it into position and then affix it and have it held on down, as we're going to see in a moment. Get ready for the magic trick that is the installation then of PPF. As we try and stay out of the way here, back rolling the material, which obviously at the moment, it's hard to imagine how that's going to end up completely invisible on the panel in question. But you shall see in a couple of minutes exactly how this works. The slip solution is used both on the underside of the PPF and then also on the top to help with the squeegee to help maneuver it into place. And then obviously by removing the excess liquid that's underneath it, we'll then effectively fasten it down with the help of some of the slip solution to get it exactly in position. And this is where you have the beauty of the Topaz templates and the way they wrap around to minimize any visible lines or any extra edges and keep them in position going forwards. The trick to find the places where it needs to be pinched from, obviously when you've got something like the shield, the pre-cut outlines for that give you the markers, hence the stick or fix solution to hold that down. Now the immensely satisfying bit as all of the air bubbles completely disappear and the material goes flat to the painted surface. There's something about watching this, it never ever gets old to see that happen. Obviously the edges will be worked around bit by bit as well, and then ultimately when the excess is tucked in over the sides, that will be all done and all gone. Tucking in the last of the edges, obviously working with the shapes of the car, especially around the wheel arch, starting to look pretty good. As if by magic, the wing is now installed. It gets a little bit of time for everything to settle down and of course a final quality check, but you would not know that that panel now had a layer of film installed over it. That's one of the most impressive things about this. Even when you look in through the shut lines, the way it goes right down towards the very bottom of that, invisible, totally invisible, and that will be over the entirety of this GTS. Well, we're back in the Abarth, heading onwards, or joining some traffic, back towards the Shmuseum. Back at base, things need a shuffle. Jag has recently been cleaned. I think that was the last to be done. We're going to be parking that up where it was. All the cars obviously in different places right now, but everything nice, clean and tidy. So we need to figure out, they're all good as they are. They're all good exactly as they are. XJ220 into the end, and then we fill it in from there, and we've had a busy day. A bit strange, we went off camera, but we've kind of moved, I was gonna say everything, but not literally everything. The Ford GT is parked next to the Jag. The Jag is now on tire cushions because it's probably gonna be sitting here for a bit. In fact, just to wander over, because people sometimes ask about this. I used to often keep my cars on tire cushions because I'd go away, they'd sit still for 3 months or so, then you run the risk of getting flat spots. Now, with my cars, I drive them every month or at most every 2 months. So nothing is left still for too long, other than like the old Clio, the little 1.2 litre Clio, something like that, maybe. But in the case of the Jag, I don't know when that's going to move again. It's been out for a couple of different events. So we've popped it up on the Kuberth tyre cushions. It will sit on those back here in the garage in the right position, and the other things will all basically move around it. And obviously Brad has been cleaning the floor while we've been out and the cars have been moved, which is super helpful. Popped in the Ford GT here. STO will go here, but the next video might be something involving that, which is why it's out for the moment. GT Black Series will be back, but obviously for now, that's over at Topaz. The good news for today, though, is that we've literally done the whole world of Topaz maintenance in one. The 296 GTS getting the new car preparation with paint protection film, the GT Black Series getting the restoration with new paint protection film, thankfully with all of the chips leaving very minimal marks, if anything, over the bodywork, and then the ongoing maintenance of all of the cars getting a thorough clean, including interiors, all of those smears on the windscreens that you get if you use suction mounts for filming videos, just fingerprints, all of the stuff, engine bays, all of that kind of thing. So everything being made to look really, really good. So I'm going to pop some information down below because I've been waiting for Topaz to launch the mobile service. They are going to be very quickly expanding to nationwide down the line with lots and lots of staff and teams to get all of that done. A few cars haven't been done yet, so we'll hopefully get the guys back out to come and go over those as well, to just catch up really, to catch up, and from there on have a smooth process, looking after everything. I think they want to stress that it doesn't have to be Lambos and Ferraris. They will also happily work on pretty much anything, your pride and joy, whatever it might be. For now, I think we're going to wrap up today. I'm very relieved that it doesn't end with the panic that it could have ended with needing to respray something, because on that car, with that paint, it would have been a disaster. That's it though. Thank you very much for your support, guys. Stay tuned, as I said, for some Lambo stuff coming really soon. I'll catch you then. Cheers.